let's teach you some serious editing skills in DaVinci Resolve. It doesn't matter if you're already a pro or someone who's always searching for that one video that finally makes editing sense. I built this course to give you what others sell for hundreds, even thousands of dollars you're going to learn right here without paying a single dollar. By the end of this series, you'll have access to knowledge most creators keep hidden. Knowledge that would normally take you 100 scattered hours to piece together. I've designed it so you won't be overwhelmed or lost. Every tool, every workflow, every detail is laid out in a way that feels natural. So instead of guessing your way through Resolve, you'll finally see how everything connects. Let's get started. Now, I want to take a moment to teach you the essential knowledge of video editing language and give you a clear idea of the software itself. Once you understand this, you won't feel confused when we start editing. You'll feel prepared, like you already know the ground you're standing on. In every video, there are things we use called assets. Think of assets as the building blocks of editing. The main ones you need to know are A-roll, B-roll, music, sound effects, overlays, backgrounds, effects, and transitions. There are others, but these are the foundation. A-roll is the main clip, usually a person talking directly to the camera. B-roll is the action it shows what's happening, the visuals that support your story. Music is the emotional tone, the instruments or songs that set the feeling. Sound effects are the little hits, swishes, or atmosphere that bring life into a cut. Overlays are special effects you drop on top of footage to give it extra style. Transitions are how one scene shifts into the next. These are basics. Every editor must understand whether you're brand new or you've been editing for years. Now, let's move into the software itself. Every editing program is built around panels. Each panel has tools that make editing faster, smoother, and more efficient. For a deep dive, I already have a full video that breaks down every panel in detail, but right now I'll give you the essentials in under a minute. Inside the edit page of DaVinci Resolve, you'll see Media Pool. This is where you import and organize all your assets. Everything lives here, ready to be used. Timeline. This is where 90% of editing happens. You drag your clips in, adjust them, add effects, sync audio, and build your video step by step. The timeline has two sides, one for video, one for audio. And you can stack multiple layers on top of each other. This workflow is called layer-based editing. Inspector. This is where you fine-tune your clips, resize, reposition, add adjustments, basically polish every detail until it looks perfect. Viewer. This is your live preview. Anything you do, if you zoom a clip, crop it, move it, the viewer shows you exactly how it looks in real time. Effects panel. This is where you'll find transitions, titles, video and audio effects, and a lot of tools to stylize your edits and give them personality. If you've followed along this far, give yourself credit. You've already learned the language of editing and the layout of Resolve. That's huge progress. And if it still feels a little overwhelming, don't stress, just re-watch this part and it'll click. Now, let's step into our very first stage, basic editing. This is where the real fun begins. By the end of this section, you'll know how to assemble clips, trim them cleanly, add transitions, use keyframes to bring motion, and even create captions that give your video personality. So, let's get started. When you first open DaVinci Resolve, you'll land in the Project Manager. Think of this as your library of edits. For now, click New Project and name it Basic Editing. Simple. Now we're inside, and the edit page appears. You already have a sense of the panels, so this should feel familiar. Before we import anything, let's create our timeline, because the timeline is the canvas where your entire edit comes together. Head over to the Media Pool, right-click, and choose Create Timeline. Name it Basic Edit, uncheck Use Project Settings, and go into Format. Here, you'll set the technical foundation of your video. You'll see two key settings, resolution and frame rate. For me, I'll choose 4 Kelvin's resolution and 30 frames per second. Why? Resolution decides the sharpness of your video, and frame rate controls how smooth the motion looks. 30 frames per second gives a natural, professional look for most online videos. Hit Create, and there it is, your very first timeline. Now, let's bring in our assets. I've already made a folder on my desktop with everything we'll use. Instead of dragging files one by one, right-click in the Media Pool and choose Import Bin. Select your folder, hit Import, and boom, everything is neatly organized. Staying structured like this will save you hours later, especially when your projects get bigger. All right, let's drag our A-roll clip onto the timeline. Since we're working vertical, go to Settings and switch to a vertical aspect ratio. Then, in the Inspector panel, adjust the framing so your subject sits right in the middle. Now, press the spacebar to play. You'll notice the video changes angle, and we want to bring in that second angle cleanly. Here's how. Move the playhead to the exact frame where the angle changes. Use the arrow keys for precision, then pick the blade tool and cut. After cutting, switch back to the selection tool, choose the second part of the clip, and reframe it in the inspector. And just like that, you've learned how to cut, trim, and reframe footage. But let's be real, if you rely only on the blade and mouse, editing becomes painfully slow. And in 2025, manual cutting like that is old school. The real magic is in shortcuts. Before we even dive into shortcuts, there's one tiny setting you need to enable, or else your timeline navigation will always feel clunky. Go down to the timeline, open the Video tab, and turn on Selection Follows Playhead. What this does is simple. The clip sitting under your playhead will automatically stay selected. That means your shortcuts react instantly, no extra clicks. Now, let's set up the shortcuts themselves. DaVinci's default keys, they get the job done, but they're awkward and slow. That's why I'm giving you my Resolve Cut preset, inspired by editors like Sam Kolder. To import it, head to Keyboard Customization, click the 3 dots in the top right, choose Import Preset, and load the Resolve Cut file I've provided. Save it, and now your keyboard is optimized for real editing speed. Here's how it works. Press 2, this lets you play or pause the video, just like the spacebar by default. Press 3, this makes your video play faster. And here's the cool part. Every extra tap keeps doubling the speed, perfect for skimming through long clips. Press 1, this plays your video in reverse. And again, the more times you tap it, the faster it rewinds. Now let's move on to the trim keys. Q, W, and E. Press W, this makes a precise cut right at the playhead. No need to grab the blade tool, just tap W and your clip splits instantly. Press E, this trims away everything after the playhead. Great when you want to chop off the tail end of a clip without dragging. Press Q, this clears everything before the playhead. This simple setup means you're no longer switching tools endlessly. Instead, you're flowing through cuts with almost no effort. Try it, you'll see what I mean. Now, let's add some B-rolls. Drop them in at the right moments to keep viewers hooked. Notice the quick transition? That's done with an overlay. Just drag it in, go to Inspector to Composite mode to set it to screen. Done. Next, let's create a zoom effect. Cut at the spot, select the clip, and apply the transform effect from the effects panel. Now, it won't move yet because we need keyframes. In the inspector, set a keyframe where you want the zoom to start, move a few frames ahead, then adjust the zoom. Watch it back, smooth motion. That's keyframing. And yes, you can apply this same technique to pans, rotations, or any effect you want. To polish it, open the keyframe curve, ease in and out, and enable motion blur for a natural look. Now, let's talk about captions. In DaVinci Resolve Studio 20, the process has become surprisingly easy thanks to AI. Instead of typing every line by hand, you can let Resolve do the heavy lifting. Go up to the timeline menu, find Create Subtitles from Audio, and click it. A window will pop up asking you about formatting, for example. Do you want single-line captions or double-line captions? Personally, I recommend double-line because it looks balanced and doesn't feel cramped on screen. Once you've set your preference, just hit Create, and Resolve will analyze your audio and generate captions in a matter of seconds. Now here's the fun part. These captions aren't locked in. You can customize them however you like. Change the font, adjust the colors, reposition them higher or lower on the screen. Think of this step like giving your captions personality, so they match the vibe of your video instead of looking like a default setting. But here's the catch. While Resolve's built-in captions are clean, they don't always grab attention. You've probably seen those bold, animated, stylized captions on TikTok and Instagram, the ones that seem to dance along with the edit. To get that look, you'll need a plugin called Snap Captions. It lets you create those bold, animated subtitles without building them one by one. I'm not going deep into it here because I've already made a full video on the best plugins for DaVinci Resolve where I show exactly how Snap Captions works. So if you're curious, definitely check that out after this. I've already made some presets with the most trending caption styles right now, so you don't have to waste hours designing them from scratch. Once you install Snap Captions, here's the setup. First, create a new bin in your media pool and name it Snap Caption. Next, drop in your favorite caption template from the pack. Then, go to the Workspace menu, find Scripts, and open Snap Caption. This will pull up a little window where you can tweak how your captions are built. For example, you can choose Capitalize All to make every word uppercase for that punchy, bold look, or you can select Remove Punctuation if you want your captions to flow without pauses. Once you've chosen your settings, click Create, and just like that, your captions transform from plain text to standout visuals. Finally, let's talk about masking. You've probably seen it. Text appearing behind a subject. It looks advanced, but here's the simple breakdown. Duplicate your A-roll clip and place it above. On the top clip, use Magic Mask in the Fusion tab to isolate your subject. Then, place your text between the two layers. Now, your subject is in front, the text sits behind, and the background stays untouched. That's it, pro-level masking in minutes. And that wraps up basic editing. You've learned how to create a timeline, organize assets, cut and trim footage, use shortcuts, add B-roll and transitions, build zooms with keyframes, generate captions, stylize them, and even pull off masking. That's a massive leap from zero. Right now, you're not just pushing buttons, you're starting to think and move like an editor. And that's the exact foundation we'll build on as we move into the next stage. Now, let me show you where you can get all of these assets and practice files completely free. I put together an asset pack on my website, resolvecut.com. Inside, you'll find every text effect and tool I used in this video, plus a tutorial so you can install everything and follow along step by step. And listen, if you like the way I teach and want to support me as a creator, this is your chance to help keep Resolve Cut alive and free for everyone. You can give whatever feels right, but I suggest at least $10. That support means the world to me, and it's what allows me to keep making tutorials like this for you. But I also know some of you might not have the money right now, and that's okay. I'll never put a price wall on learning. Just hit Buy Now, enter the code FREE, and the entire pack is yours with no strings attached. Your support, whether it's $10 or just your time here watching, genuinely keeps me motivated and makes Resolve Cut possible. Thank you for being part of this journey with me. Now let's create the second version of our edit, and this is where your mind really opens up. In this version, I'll keep the focus on the big moves, the techniques that instantly level up your edits, while also teaching you some new skills along the way. Let's get started. You probably noticed right at the beginning, I created a very smooth transition between two clips. Let me walk you through it. You can pick a transition straight from the effects panel, and honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. But the custom one we're about to build, it just feels cleaner, smoother, and way more professional. First, head over to the Effects panel. Scroll down to Effects and drag an adjustment clip onto your timeline. Place it right between your two clips. Now, cut the adjustment layer so it covers about 9 frames on each side of the cut. That's the sweet spot. With the adjustment layer selected, jump into the Fusion panel. Hit Shift plus Spacebar, type in Transform, and add a Transform node. This is where the magic happens. We're going to set up 4 keyframes, 2 at the start and end, and 2 in the middle for the actual movement. On frame 8, adjust the Y value to 1. On frame 10, set it back to 0. Now, don't skip this step. In the Transform node under Edges, change the setting to Duplicate. This avoids those nasty black borders when the clip moves. Once that's done, open the Spline panel, select all your keyframes, and hit S. This eases everything out, making the transition buttery smooth. And there it is, your first custom transition. In the middle of the edit, I animated a little PNG icon. To do this, place your playhead where you want the effect to start. Then open the crop controls in the inspector. Crop the top of the PNG, add a keyframe, move forward a few frames, and lower the crop back down to 0. It looks simple, but paired with smooth easing in the keyframes panel, it creates a really clean, professional reveal. Now let's talk about the images. Notice how they don't just appear, they reveal one by one, frame after frame, adding rhythm to the edit. Here's how you can do it. Bring all your images into the timeline. Adjust the first one where you want it. Right-click, copy its attributes, and paste them onto the rest so they all match in size and position. Then, cut the start of each new image about 5 frames later than the one before it. This stagger creates that smooth reveal effect. Once you've set them up, select all the images, right-click, and choose Compound Clip. Remember that transition we built at the start? You'll see the exact same one at the end of this edit. Instead of rebuilding it, just copy the adjustment layer, hold Shift+Alt or Option on Mac, drag it to the new spot, and it's ready to go. That's the power of adjustment clips. One solid build can be reused anywhere. You might have also noticed that laptop animation. That's not something I keyframed by hand. It's just a GIF from the assets. Drag it into the timeline, place it where you want, and you've got instant motion graphics without any extra effort.
Many editors think that DaVinci is too sophisticated or complicated for them, but the reality is that although it offers a bunch of advanced features, that doesn't mean you need to use all of them.
Sound is what makes your visuals come alive. Watch the edit again, and you'll notice those little details, the whooshes, the clicks, the subtle rising tones. Those aren't random. They're sound effects that glue your visuals together. Let's add one. Grab a whoosh effect from the media pool and drag it right under the movement. In the inspector, lower the volume a bit so it blends. Already it feels better, but let's push it further. Duplicate that whoosh, and on the second one, add an Audio FX low-pass filter. This muffles the sound, giving it a deep, cinematic rumble, perfect for transitions. Now just copy-paste this pair everywhere you need movement. No need to rebuild it each time. You'll also hear a subtle rising tone during transitions. That's just another sound effect dropped right before the cut. And those little click sounds when images change? Same deal, just add them where the cuts happen. It's small, but it makes a huge difference. And that's our intermediate edit. You learned how to craft your own custom transitions, animate PNGs, use of adjustment clips and compound clips, sound design. With just these tools, your edits stop feeling basic and start feeling intentional. And that's the step that separates a beginner from someone who's really thinking like an editor. One last step, the one that actually lets people call you a pro editor.
Many editors think that DaVinci is too sophisticated or complicated for them, but the reality is that although it offers a bunch of advanced features, that doesn't mean you need to use all of them.
My main focus here is not tools, it's psychology. How to edit so people don't skip your video, how to make them watch your piece of work the whole way through. In this version, I'm gonna break down the timeline we just built and explain the idea behind each moment. Because honestly, knowing tools doesn't make you an artist, it's how you use them. Let's get started. At the start, you saw a very simple frame. Text, a subtle timeline motion graphic, and a paper texture behind it. That choice wasn't accidental. I kept the composition minimal because the first few seconds are for capturing attention and giving context. The text reinforces the voice. While the speaker talks, the words appear, so the viewer immediately understands what we're discussing. The timeline motion graphic is a visual nod to our audience. It creates instant relevance. The paper texture adds tactile warmth, so the frame doesn't feel flat or digital. All three together, voice, text, and texture, guide the eye and hold attention. Simple, focused, intentional. On to the next one. When the voice says Resolve is complicated, I leaned into that feeling visually. I placed a brain PNG with a chaotic texture behind it, almost like scattered thoughts. Then, I added a slow zoom in to build intensity, matching the spoken line. Why this works? You're not just hearing complicated, you're seeing it. That alignment between words and visuals creates an instant, "Oh, I get it" reaction in the viewer's mind, and that recognition keeps them engaged instead of tuning out. Next, I switch the texture to black to show contrast, the difference between what people imagine, messy, complicated, and what they actually see, clear, usable. The eye icon makes that literal. Between these two shots, I used a match cut. It works because the motion continues seamlessly across clips, so the viewer's brain accepts the cut without resistance. That smooth flow is what sells the idea. For the key moments in the script, I used bold feature text, bigger, brighter, and slightly animated so the viewer knows this point matters. To push it further, I added a highlighter effect, simple crop keyframes that reveal a color bar under the words. It's subtle, but it directs the eye without distraction. Together, these cues guide attention and make the message stick. After a few tweaks, easing keyframes, softening motion blur, balancing sound, the sequence becomes cohesive. The visuals support the script, the pacing matches the voice, and every animation has a reason. That's how simple decisions add up to a pro edit. And just like I promised, you didn't only learn editing language and the layout of DaVinci Resolve, stuff people sometimes charge hundreds of dollars for. You also learned the thinking behind the edit, how to hold attention, how to lead the eye, and how to make small moves that deliver big impact. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a lot. The project files are available on the website for free, so you can practice right away. But if you found real value here and want to support this style of teaching, you can grab the full practice pack for just $10. It's a small amount, but it goes a long way in helping me keep creating and sharing this knowledge. Your feedback and support mean the world. See you in the next one.